So what was your favorite chapter?
Since we're going around in a circle this way, I guess I'll go first. Since I started that. Favorite chapter was chapter 11, Becoming Adults. In particular, I even took a screenshot or I took a picture of the the end of the chapter where they had the little bullet points, because I thought it just resonated with me at that point. So it's page 207 for those of you reading at home, which I think is actually it's the second part of the bullet points. But it just, I don't know, I guess where I'm at right now in life, it just really kind of struck me. So first bullet point is smile at people. The people who you live, what does it say? The person behind the counter, the stranger on the street. It's like sometimes we just forget to do that. And I think, it's just a good recipe for happiness. At least, an ingredient for happiness is just smile more and smile at people. I mean, like every one of these things that I'm reading off, it's just like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So number 2 is like, be grateful. And, we all hear about that. It's a whole industry on, self-help books about how to be more grateful and bringing that into your life. But just be grateful. Laugh daily with other people. So it's not only laughing, it's not only like sitting there and watching YouTube videos and laughing, but laugh with other people. I love this next one. Put your phone down. No, really, put your phone down. I can't tell you how it's really starting to bug me just seeing just groups of people that should be talking to each other and they're just all on their devices, not conversing. And then this one. Define your fights for whom and what you love, rather than against whom and what you hate. If a mob ever comes for people people whom you consider friends, stand up and say, no, you're wrong. Be honorable and courageous when bullies move in. So I know that, Brett and Heather went through a lot of that, living that firsthand with, people they thought they were friends at Evergreen and, people standing up for them that they probably didn't think they were going to. And, so I think all of those bullet points just like hit me. It's like, yeah, that's important. Yeah, that's important. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, those, I like those too. And it makes me wonder if they would have hit the same way outside of COVID times, just because they all seem to like go in this, smiling at strangers. That's something I feel like was tough with masks first off, but now that even they're off, people seem to be kind of in this like, oh, don't touch me routine,
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your favorite chapter, Eric?
My favorite chapters were in the beginning. I enjoyed all of the chapters that were, using their framework to look at a topic.
Yeah.
But I really liked chapter 3, Ancient Bodies, Modern World, which is kind of, to me, like their thesis of the whole book, really. And then chapter 1, The Human Niche. I just liked how those 2 chapters in particular, I felt like provided a certain framework for looking at the world in general. And then they kind of used what they present in those chapters to go through all the specific topics in the subsequent chapters. So for me, it was like really interesting reading about all the things that they wrote about in the following chapters. But I really just liked getting that framework and seeing into their mind of how they look at things, hearing about trade-offs, learning about all these different concepts that they use to view the world.
Yeah, I feel like I've listened to their Dark Horse podcast for 2 years now, and I still didn't know everything as succinctly as this book put it. And they even read excerpts out of their book, like every week for several months. And I still feel like I learned a ton by reading this book. And at first I was like, I don't need to read the book. I think I've heard it. And then I thought twice about that. I'm like, well, let's see. And I'm so glad because it gave me more tangible, tacky ways to look and actually how they look, which explains a lot about how they get to the conclusions they do get to. Do any of us have a science background in this room? Because I certainly do not.
No. And I think that's why the first couple chapters were a little hard for me to get through. You know, there's a lot of new words and science speak. Sounds sciencey. As Heather would say. Thank you for tuning into the Unity Now podcast. We are a 100% volunteer organization dedicated to highlighting the sane middle ground between the two dominant parties and focusing on the individual over groups. If you've enjoyed this program, please consider supporting us through our Patreon. Links to our support page, as well as merchandise and full episodes, can be found at our website at unitynowpodcast.com. Now, back to our show.
Well, they talk a lot about Chesterton's fence in their podcast, and I almost always have to go back and look it up, the definition, because I'll say, what is that again? Because it's just new to me. And the Omega principle was very enlightening because I think about this all the time. Are we leading with genes or are we leading with culture? And then they put it in perspective. And I love that.
Yeah, there's Chesterton's window. No, I'm sorry. There's Chesterton's fence, and there's a window they talk about.
The Overton
window.
Overton window, yeah.
Overton.
I can define the first one. I can't define the second one.
Well, at least
I didn't come prepared.
it's just a book discussion. It's okay. No one's getting graded.